Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for taking time today to join us for this webinar from chargers to systems making EV infrastructure scale ready. We are excited to have an excellent panel with us today, leaders who are deeply involved in building, operating, and scaling EV charging infrastructure on the ground. And we are looking forward to a very honest and a practical discussion. We are really glad to have such a diverse group of participants as well with us. I'm Sunana Agarwal, leading business development at P Manifold and our learning arm EV Acad. I'm delighted to welcome you all for today's webinar. For those who may be new to us, P Manifold works closely with industries, governments, and investors on e mobility, clean energy, transport, hydrogen, and sustainability. Over the past years, we have been fortunate to work on 400 plus projects across 60 plus countries, including more than 200 projects in e mobility. A lot of our work happens on the ground, helping organizations deal with the real challenges of scaling clean technologies and not just on paper. Now, coming to today's topic, India's EV charging ecosystem, which is growing very fast. We are seeing more chargers, more policies, and more investments. But many of us here know that adding chargers alone doesn't automatically mean reliable charging. Issues around uptime, grid readiness, interoperability, site constraints, and operations continue to surface as network expands. That's really what today's discussion is about. So instead of talking only about numbers, we want to talk about how actually it takes to make a charging infrastructure work at scale from a technology, operations, and a policy perspective. So we have brought together speakers who are deeply involved in this space and deal with these challenges every day. So, to help set the stage for this conversation and give us a very clear picture of where India's charging ecosystem stands today, I would like to invite Ms. Girija Shanware from P Manifold to share her perspective and kick off the context setting session. Girija, over to you.
Thank you so much, Samana, for the introduction. Uh, Good evening, everybody present here. I have a small presentation where I will be setting up the context for our uh, webinar today. Just- I hope my screen is visible. Uh, Starting from the existing EVs and charging infrastructure in India, so it's been at a spurge where we can see electric vehicle sales have been growing uh, uh, for years together. And currently, the EVs present in India is has reached up to 5.7 millions, where the dominating sectors are E2 wheelers and E3 wheeler segments. To support these increasing EVs in the market, we have around 29,000 to 77 charging stations deployed with around 12,000 DC chargers. The dominating sector among the chargers are AC, with around 10 to 12% of DC chargers available. The major states in India with most amount of charging stations are Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Uttar Pradesh. Going on, along with increasing charging infrastructure, these are the key stakeholders that play a major role in the charging infrastructure ecosystem, where the charge point operator are the players who install and give us the charging solutions. The discoms are the major players who provide electricity for those chargers. Us EV users are the ones who are taking most usage of these charging infrastructures. The charger OEM who are manufacturing the chargers are providing to the charge point operators, and the supporting few stakeholders are the charger component supplier and the testing labs. Here, if we can see that the supply on the supply side, the major stakeholders are the charge point operators. Supplying to them are the charger OEMs. And on the demand side, we can see the EV users who are uh, taking much more use of the charging infrastructure. Whereas the government plays an critical role in this entire ecosystem by having deployment of EVs in the country. Uh, the policies that have been supporting for charging infrastructures right from 2017 are plotted down here. There have been FAME policies with where we have there has been a sorry, FAME has given around it gives us around 100 crore INR of 100 CR of contribution for charging infrastructure, where in 2020 and 2021, there have been standards developed for the charging infrastructure. MOP has included battery swapping and BEE for charging station database. In 2022, MOP has given policies around time of use tariffs, public land for charging infrastructures, and also have plans to have 3x3 infrastructure targets, where having charging stations in around 3x3 area. In 2023, then more subsidies like PME bus and CEA has given additional safety requirements. PME bus has given policies that support for power infrastructure in order to have uh, good support from the discoms. And in 2024, PME Drive, it has again, there has been 2,000 crore of public charging, 2,000 crore schemes for public charging stations, out of which around 600 crores have been utilized, and we are looking forward for uh, more utilization of this charging infrastructure, of these funds. Uh, Along with all these policies and increasing charging infrastructure, we are still facing some capacity gaps and further operational realities. On the government and regulation sides, there are still some inconsistent implementations across states. There are lack of standards and guidelines for some of the charging infrastructure, and from the discom sites from the state EV policies. There are some gaps in the land availability for setting up charging stations. For charge point operators, the barriers are seen as low utilization of the chargers due to less traffic at the charging stations, delay in timely access to power connections because of uh, improper grid connections, high O&M costs and downtime management challenges, high upstream electricity infra costs currently these are the major barriers that the CPOs are facing. Then on the charger OEMs and charger component supplier side, we can see into charge due to some of the technical of
I think we lost Girija due to some connection issues. Hmm. Girija, are you there?
yeah, extremely sorry I got logged out for some reason. I will reshare my screen. Can you please make me the host?
Yes, Girija, given you the
Is my screen visible?
Yes, Girija.
Yeah, I will start from the gaps from charger OEMs and component suppliers. So there are interoperability challenges among where the EV users are not able to utilize the charging infrastructure that is available. Then low localization of OEMs, where AC chargers are still high, but for DC chargers, the localization barrier we are still facing due to lack of policies on that side. There are lack of financing options for private CPOs. There have been funds for public CPOs like CESL, but on the private side, that is missing. And limited testing capacity for further service provided for the chargers. On the discom side, there is lack. The discoms have the grid is getting updated as per the infrastructure, as per the growing charging infrastructure, but it still requires strategic planning and readiness for the upcoming charging load. There is lack of straightforward procedure for new connections, which is ultimately leading to um, uh, delay in timely access for power connections and low confidence for grid updates as the utilization for the charge point operators is low. The discoms are not able to get enough confidence for their grid updates. And finally, for EV users, the entire demand is from the EV users for the charging infrastructure. They still require multiple CPO apps and payment wallets, and interoperability issues are still happening, which is ultimately leading to low utilization. Uh, we would be uh, discussing these points in detail with our panelists today and to promote charging infrastructure ahead in India. We still require and to see rise in deployment of fast chargers, deployment of charging hubs in urban areas, and and to take ahead the charging infrastructures, India's big plans for charging infrastructure ahead. We will be discussing how we can bridge these gaps uh, with the panelists today. So I would really request Kunjan to go ahead and we can moderate this session. Thank you
Sure,
so much.
sure. Thank you so much, Sunaina and Girija, for that context setting. I am Kunjan Bagadia, Assistant Vice President at P Manifold, working on e-mobility and utilities at the company. I would like to take this opportunity to briefly introduce our three speakers. First is Mr. Upendra Patel. He is R&D Director at Tyrex Chargers, one of the charger OEM company, prominent company in India. Second speaker, we have Mr. Karan Nandwani. He is a fleet business head at Static, again, one of the leading CPO in terms of deployments of charging stations, both public as well as fleet charging. We have another speaker, third speaker, Mr. Nishant Chaudhary. He is head Gram Ujala and EV charging corporate team from CSL. He is yet to join this webinar and expected to join very shortly. His existing meeting has got extended, so our team is following up with him, and he is expected to join very soon. So we have an sort of elite speakers, and as a moderator, I'm glad to sort of discuss some of the issues in the charging industry space and understand their point of views. I think I am going to continue this session for next half an hour or so. We also have an option of for the audience. I think they can post their questions in chat box. Our team, Sunena and other colleagues, I think time permitting, we can ask some of those questions also during the discussion now, or else later on it can be shared over email also to the speakers for their response. So yeah, so and it's an interactive discussion. So I'm going to sort of raise some questions to our speakers one by one. I will give appropriate reference. And then I think you are requested to please share your opinions, thoughts on that. And just for Upendra ji and Karan, I have structured my thoughts into broad five categories, I would say. First is more on basically the EV charging infrastructure scale up readiness in India, right from the manufacturing to the execution, because we have charger OEM and CPOs who are working on ground. Second is basically the utilization and the commercial viability for both as a CPO and as an OEM. Third, a very important sort of power grid connections and issues around that. That is the third topic. Fourth is around standards, interoperability, and system integrity. And fifth is basically kind of what are your suggestions, recommendations for future support from government or collaboratively from other stakeholders, let's say for next 5 years until 2030, for really sort of scaling up EV charging infrastructure in India. So these are the five categories, groupings in which I have divided my thoughts. Let me start with the first topic on the readiness, and this is through Mr. Upendra Patel. Sir, we are seeing that India is in phase of transitioning to large EV charging deployments now, with growing expectations for fast and ultra fast charging. So the question is, how prepared are charger OEMs in India to meet this growing demand of charging? And in terms of manufacturing, does the industry has capacity to manufacture these chargers, its testing, certification, and how is the mix between the two types of chargers, AC and DC, that is evolving to support this change?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of you would be seeing the news of new cars coming up and saying like it can charge within 10 minutes to give 200 miles, 150 miles kind of range. So far we were looking at like smaller battery capacities, 40 kilowatt and all. But now we see most of the cars coming with 60 up to 80 kilowatt battery. In normal cars, luxury cars and all go beyond 100 kilowatt hour also. So the charging infrastructure also obviously has to cater to these needs. So the charger are in India, and we are also working on like 360 kilowatt chargers where we can support these new cars or buses which come with a high charging voltage and power requirement. So a lot of power requirement also is from 400 volt. A lot of new cars, of course, from Europe are switching to 800 volts. So we are, of course, supporting 800 volt in all our DC chargers. But power capacity wise, also 360 kilowatt and maybe in future 480 kilowatt also will be in pipeline to make sure we are not behind in terms of supporting ultra fast charging. Same applies to home chargers and AC chargers also, because home chargers typically we used to earlier have 3.3 kilowatt. Now most of the cars have 7.4 kilowatt as standard, but 11 kilowatt and 22 kilowatt models are also available, and we also have it as a full range to support the customers. And third part is the even AC in public charging also, like apartment complexes, commercial buildings where putting a DC fast chargers is very expensive, but the cars are typically parked there for 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, where you can do it with AC chargers also. So there, the AC public chargers with OCPP support, load balancing, and all of those features are also in pipeline. So industry, I would say, as a OEMs, we are all ready to support whatever new technology developments come up on the car industry. So that's not an issue. And in terms of manufacturing capacity, also like in India, there are ample number of EV charger OEMs, and we have also like expanding our manufacturing capacity, uh, taken a new plant which will be ready in this year. So, I mean, we'll be expanding by at least 5 times our capacity. So, next 5 years, we won't be worried about the demand side part where we cannot support. So, capacity is there in the industry. So that's not going to be a challenge. Of course, there are other challenges in terms of the infrastructure and those parts, which will take up in the other points.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Upendra ji. I think I understand that as a OEM, you are referring and mentioned that larger charger capacities are now being manufactured to cater to the higher voltage, like 800-volt vehicles also. So I think
Yeah.
that is a good sign. Just as a follow-up question to Karan, Karan as a CPO, I think we would be happy to understand. I mean, on paper or on I mean on the ground, there is a little different reality when it comes to the execution. And as a CPO, you are the executor setting up of charging stations. So from that perspective, do you see any issues with the technology in terms of charger specifications required to meet the deployments? Considering that again, high utilization and fast charging sort of is required or is not preferred by customers. And if not, are there any gaps on the technology side to meet this demand?
Sure. Thanks, Kunjan. So, as Upender sir also mentioned, that we are seeing a heavy sale of end user vehicles in India since the last around 6 to 8 months, which has further driven our utilization figures in the country. And so we started our CPO business around 4.5 years ago, and we started with deploying around 25 kilowatt and 30 kilowatt chargers. And the maximum capacity used to be 60 kilowatt during that time, around 3 4 years ago. But these days, with advancement of vehicles, and as sir also mentioned, that vehicles can the 10-minute charging, 20-minute charging. So these days, the normal vehicles like from Tata and Mahindra can even take capacity of 90 kilowatt charging, 120, 180 kilowatt charging as well. And so in the CPO network, now we have started installing 240 kilowatt and 360 kilowatt chargers. These chargers are further used by trucks, buses, as well as end users. And the bare minimum charger that we're installing on highways these days is 120 kilowatt, so that it is future ready. It is perfectly fine for the next few years and for the end users to come. And the challenge right now is that end users do not wish to wait for long. So in case someone's driving a 80 kilowatt battery car and there is a 30 kilowatt charger on the ground, he might not prefer waiting for 1.5, 2 hours, 2.5 hours with the family. So people look for high capacity chargers, 240 kilowatt, 180 kilowatt chargers, and so that they can charge in 20 30 minutes and continue with their journey. So,
Sure, sure. Thank you for that. So I think again, I think from the deployment point of view, it is understood that high capacity chargers are the need, and those are getting deployed. Of course, there could be some operational issues, I think, which we are going to understand further. But more from the manufacturing and from the deployment of high capacity chargers, I think it is happening and ongoing in India. I think that is good to know. I see. Good afternoon, Mr. Nishant. Welcome to the webinar. We just started. So for our audiences, I think a very quick introduction, sir. We have now Mr. Nishant Chaudhary, who is head Gram Ujala. This is one of the energy efficient program, and also he is also the head of EV charging business at CESL. So welcome, sir. Thank you for joining. We just started with the first round of discussions with Upendra ji and Karan on the charger technology and in terms of the capacity. I think if you want to add any other points, I would request you to please share your thoughts on the technology. I mean, charger technology and its availability as a CPO for deployment.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sanjay?
We can hear you. Yes, yes.
Okay, So, in the starting phase of deployment of chargers across pan India, so in the nascent stage, we deployed DC chargers or AC chargers, where we can easily charge like e-Verito and Tata Tigor like cars, and these cars are presently being used nowadays too. But 70% of charging are nowadays from CCS2, yani this CCS2 compatible chargers and cars. So yes, we are getting means high utilization in Delhi, even for DC chargers or AC chargers. So as soon as the days are passing, CCS2 compatible cars are the models which every e-cars adopted, and means later or sooner only the CCS2 compatible cars will be there in the market. So, in the new deployment of chargers across pan India, we are only focusing to install CCS2 compatible chargers only. And one means primarily for two-wheeler and three-wheelers, we are deploying slow charger of 10 kilowatt. And for E4W means four-wheeler cars, and for buses and for trucks, we are only going to install these CCS2 compatible fast chargers of rating 60 kilowatt dual gun for electric four wheelers, and 240 kilowatt for electric buses, and similarly as for electric trucks.
Sure, sure. Thank you, everyone. I think for that brief update. I think my next set of question is more focused on the utilization and the commercial viability. So I think I will start with Karan, you first as a CPO. I think while we are understanding that there are growing charger installations in the country, but at the same time, it is also understood that utilization and typically at public stations remains in single digits, barring few primary locations where there are high footfalls, or for some of the charging stations where fleets are getting charged. These are some of the exceptions, but those numbers are on the lower side. So the question is, what are the key sort of reasons behind this low utilization today? And what do you think kind of needs to change in terms of creating this demand? And is it part of like better site planning or better stakeholder coordination to improve this commercial viability?
Sure. So, Kunjan, as you rightly mentioned, the utilization is slightly on the lower side, barring some exceptions, obviously. And so it's a simple chicken and egg problem, which I see, although which is improving day by day. The vehicle sales are improving from the end user perspective. Even the B2B sales are improving. We are seeing a lot of commercial vehicles entering in the market, which is whether in the cab segment or the loader segment, L5 segment, or even the four-wheeler SUV segment. So we started seeing a slightly better utilization in the city business that we have. So our utilization in cities have started hitting double digits. And on the highways, it is in single digit, barring some exceptions. And on weekends, it is on the higher side. But during overnight, it is on the lower side. So some interventions, if I would say, is if the government helps in making some green corridors where we can probably involve some freight operators, logistics operators to operate on on those highways. So probably CPOs like us can develop a couple of highways in the country where these trucks would have movement over during night. The buses and are operated during the day, and these can be cross-utilized uh, with the cars also, end user vehicles.
Mhm.
So this would definitely see double-digit utilization on every charger on that particular corridor. This will further increase the reliability of the charger, so the CPOs and the charger OEMs also start taking these chargers seriously. The uptime would improve. We will start deploying engineers on that route and probably more chargers. So would remove the range anxiety from a lot of end users as well.
Sure, sure. So I think one of the recommendations that you have suggested is to have green corridors which are dedicated for electric vehicles, and
Right.
during the different time zone during the day, night, and I mean different vehicle segments can be utilizing the same set of charging infrastructure. So
Definitely.
yeah, I think that is a point well noted. Nishant sir, I would like to have your inputs on this particular point because as CSL, you already have deployed a lot of charging stations, more from a public entity point of view instead of a private entity, which Karan was referring. And now I think you are also considering an innovation in terms of the business model in terms of like switching or sort of changing from capex to I think asset light or PPP model to improve the viability. So please request to share some of your thoughts, experience around how CPOs can improve their sort of utilization and thereby viability, overall commercial viability.
Okay. Thanks, Kunjan. So earlier we were putting our capex for charger installation across pan India, but nowadays we are working on asset light model, and under which we collaborate with different government agencies for sharing their land parcels, and government agency give us their land parcel on fixed revenue sharing basis. It is solely based on the MOP guidelines issued in September 2022, and amendments are there after means amendments released time to time. Means from last 8 years of journey, yes, there is a issue of utilization, and on every location, each and every location, it is very hard to get the desired utilization. So people go for charging their vehicles where they find the security, first of all, and the availability of the chargers. So when the people found these two things prominently, then they means they go for charging the vehicles in an open market where chargers are installed. There are several cases for theft and vandalism because charger has a dual gun, and the gun is solely of copper, and this can be cut easily by a cutter, so it can be theft very easily, and there are tremendous cases of theft and vandalism. So for financial in a now come to the financial, how you get the financial viability from the chargers, as the CPO incurred lot of capex to install a charger, and out of that 60% of cost of charger installation plus 60% of cost is for power connection. So he has to apply for power connection, and he has to incur the capex cost too. So what is the succeed model is to maintain a hub, charging hub. So in charging hub, what we are doing nowadays, so we collaborate with the government for the big land parcel, where in a city we can manage to deploy at least 10 charger at one place. So what will be the benefit of this infrastructure? I can deploy one security personnel in a hub, which makes security personnel financial viable in terms of utilization of 10 chargers instead of security personnel deployment of one location, or for one or two chargers. So it would not be financial viable for the CPO. So for charging hubs, it security is major constraint which is easily resolved. Second thing, in a hub, you have a coffee shop, or you have a means restroom where people can put their car on the charge and can relax, and while means they can enjoy coffee, tea, and some other stuffs. So means in a and third important thing is when CPO means make the charger installation at one place, they collaborate with different agencies because ultimately they are putting their capex. So they collaborate with fleet agencies, they collaborate with different departments. Sir, we are giving this type of subsidy if you charge at our charging hubs. So there are means much more utilization we are getting where we are able to establish the charging hubs instead of location of one or two chargers placed in 1 by 1 kilometer range as decided by the norms or 3 by 3 kilometer range. So yeah, somewhere if there is a security personnel and there is a peaceful environment, yes, the people are coming. For example, some of our DDA sport complex where we collaborate with DDA as a government agency. So in DDA, each and every sport complex in Delhi, they have security guard. They have very nice environment to means to park the car for the local people. Third thing is there is no charge for parking in the sport complex. So yes, I am getting very high utilization because people are getting this tremendous facility, which lead them to put their car on the charger. They can roam around in the garden. They can play for 1 hour. And they can come and they found their vehicle fully charged. So this is how we are moving ahead with different dimensions and with different scenario. That's all.
Sure, sure. Thank you, sir. I think this is very useful. I have, sir, just one quick follow-up question on this. In this asset-light PPP model, the ownership of the charging stations is still with CESL, and all the services are maintained by you, or it is outsourced to some third-party charging provider?
It is completely the outsourced to the third party provider.
Okay,
So as the capex is to be put by the CPO, so the
okay,
whole control on the charger and its operation, along with the service charge, which is to be taken by the public, is completely owned by the CPO only.
okay, okay. Sure, sure. Yeah, sir. Thank you for that. Coming to Upendra sir, sir, on this quickly. I think, sir, we are seeing and discussing about the utilization. So, from a OEM perspective, I mean, you are required to commit capital for the investment in the manufacturing, and because of, I mean, still evolving or growing utilization, there could be some impact on your business or viability also. So, given this uncertain utilization and the evolving demand, how as an OEM you decide the, I mean, right mix of manufacturing between AC and DC, different power ratings, different level of software sophistication to ensure that manufacturing is really scaling up, and as an OEM you are getting right return on investment.
Yeah, so this is one challenge, of course, all the OEMs face that orders may be in pipeline, but because the utilization has not gone up to that level, so the expansion sometimes goes on hold. So your deliveries are delayed, so you might have manufactured, but the customer may not be taking delivery, or you have ordered, you have manufactured, but the site is not ready. So those kind of challenges, of course, come in terms of the supplying part of it. In terms of the managing multiple capacities, say most of these DC fast chargers, they are modular in nature. So right now, like the modularity is at a multiple of 30 kilowatt. And maybe as the power modules with 40, 45, or 50, 60 kilowatts start becoming like a norm, then that modularity will change. And maybe modularity may still remain the same, but the charger capacity will go up with the same number of modules. So we also like stock at different module level, like 120 kilowatt, 180 kilowatt, 240. So you have like the infra of a product ready for supporting that. And then based on the order, you configure the product. And of course, OEM, the challenge is like you have to do it with the customer's branding also, because CPOs would like to put their own branding, fleet operators would like to put their own branding. So their enclosure level and all, some of them, I mean, we have to stock at that level. And then based on the order, we have to assemble every month. But most of these orders, there is of course a lead time available, because after placing the order, they have to work on the infra side also. So we get enough lead time on that side. So it's not that big a problem. On AC charger is, of course, it's tied up to mostly car OEMs. So there it is more like as a monthly order kind of flow. And it gets corrected every quarter or so based on the OEM vehicle sales. So we are able to manage as such. But yeah, lower utilization is resulting in impact on all the OEM suppliers. The growth is not what everybody was expecting, and we hope now
Correct, correct.
this year. So now the electric vehicle sales also, like it's reached close to 4% now, and maybe in 2026 we will see even a higher number. So then once the utilization goes up, the whole ecosystem will propel to a next level.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Thank you, Upendra sir. I think this was my opinion also. Typically, utilization is seen as a CPO challenge in terms of the deployment, but it is also affecting the other stakeholders like manufacturer in this case. So I think your inputs and validation on this point confirms the same. So yeah, thank you. So I think with this now we move to the next sort of topic, which is more on the power grid or the electricity part. And I would like to request Karan first again. As a CPO, I mean, we all are aware that power availability and getting timely connections from discoms in India are
Kunjan,
challenging. Yeah.
Kunjan, yes, before we move on to the next question, since we have last 15 minutes left, we have got one question from a attendee. So can we take that question first?
Yeah, you can take this, please.
Yeah, so the question is from Mr. Shubhojit Ray. He's asking, charging industry faces lower utilization compared to minimum utilization required for financial viability. What causes this and how to address this challenge?
This is for whom?
Uh, I think any one of them can, they have not
I think
specifically mentioned.
Karan may be right person to answer this.
Okay, so yeah, I can definitely answer this question. So yes, there are some challenges on this. Around 10% of our chargers face this challenge. So uh, if we look at the average becomes to be fine. But in such cases, either we can probably play around with the selling rate of that particular charger, and sometimes we even change the location of these such underperforming chargers. So the chargers can be shifted anywhere. It just takes slight cost to shift from one location to another location. So in such edge cases, we end up surrendering the connection and installing the charger somewhere else. That's how we're addressing this challenge.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Karan.
Thank you.
So we have next question from Mr. Raghav Sarda. He's asking, how do you see petrol pumps for charger deployment? How is the utilization there? So I think maybe Nishant sir could answer this.
Yeah, means petrol pumps are very good place to install the chargers. In the corner of the petrol pump, there should be one charger, and the biggest benefit that people need not to search on their mobile phone every time, because they able to know that when there is a petrol pump there, would be one charger for my EV cars too. So yes, this is a very good option. 1 year, 1.5 year back, government means OMC companies uh, floated a tender for installation and commissioning of the chargers near about 6,000. It was a massive tender floated. So it was exercised earlier, but yes, there are more to be done in this field of charger installation on the petrol pumps.
Yes, thank you, Nishant sir. So, next question we have from Mr. Sudarshan S. He states that research studies in the US indicates that subsidies for charging infrastructure have contributed to a higher increase in EV share than direct subsidies to EVs. What is the view of the panelist on the current subsidy levels from government for charging infrastructure? So, Kunjan,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Sunena, you please tell me the.
Sorry, Nishant sir, we missed you.
Means you suggest the name.
No, no, Nishant sir, you may proceed with it.
Okay. So there are lots of uh, earlier uh, subsidy declaration by the government, and recently the MHI on 26 September 25, they again issued nearly 2,000 crore subsidy for EV charging players and for their chargers installation as well as their for the power connection. So you can check out these subsidy values on the website of MHI. So there are four categories under which they are giving the subsidy. This is for purely government location. The second one is for semi-government locations. Third one is for malls and some other places. Fourth one is, I think, hospitals or police stations or government other places. But it's open for all public charging station. For all public, it is 24/7 open. So they are giving the subsidy for installation and for the infrastructure part too. So while applying the subsidy, means who can apply for this subsidy? The nodal agency designated by the respective state can only be able to apply for the charger installation and as well as the subsidy. They have to submit the proposal to MHI, and then means BHEL is Bharat BHEL is the nodal agency and assisting the MHI for the same, and they then finally scrutinize and approve the proposal submitted by the different state for establishing charges across the respective states. So yeah, now what will be the output if you get the subsidy, if the respective state get the subsidy? So the CPO who ultimately get the benefit means subsidy will pass on to the nodal agency. Nodal agency will further pass on subsidy to the respective CPO. Now CPO, what CPO need? CPO need that the more and more utilization I get on the chargers, then I will be the more profitable businessman. So for that means if they are getting the subsidy, so their capex cost is very low, and they pass on this benefit to the consumer, so that consumer or means people come to their chargers on faster adaptable basis, and they should not go to the other chargers for charging their vehicle. So this is how government is working very hard in respect of people adoption of EV vehicles, and why they are doing because of cleaning means cleaning the atmosphere, no fossil fuel burning in the field of means the generation from the cars, trucks, and buses to protect the environment, basically.
Yes, thank you, Nishant sir. So next question we have is from Mr. Ashwin Suresh. He is asking how are the ROCEs for CPOs, assuming an asset-heavy model? So I think maybe Karan could answer this question.
Sure, I'll answer this. So, see, the CPO business is definitely a very asset heavy business, and the ROIs typically completely depend on the utilization percentage that we get from the vehicles, and the return on investment is somewhere between 1 to 5 years, depending on the location and the kind of charger that we've installed. So, I hope that answers the question. It's around that figure.
Yeah, thank you, Karan. Karan, we have one more question from
Sure.
Mr. Suken Shah. So he's asking, how are you seeing the cost curve of charges moving going forward? Also, are you seeing time of day power charges being levied?
Sure. So yes, time of day power charges would be levied pretty soon. I believe every CPU is working in that direction and would be depending on the utilization timing of these charges and time of day pricing as well. Coming to the first question, currently the rates that the CPUs charge from end user somewhere ranges between 14 to 15 rupees from the OMCs and between 18 to 24 rupees from the private CPUs. And I don't see these rates to be increasing further, because if this increases further, then probably buying an EV won't be a very viable option for end users, or a financial won't make much financial sense for end users. So I believe the rates will stay around this, and the CPUs will end up being more profitable as and when the utilization figure increases. And once utilization increases, I'm sure the CPUs would also reduce some rates, and there can be a maximum cap by the government also. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So I think we have few more questions, but okay, Mr. Sukin is saying he meant the capex cost of charger.
Okay, so yeah, that's reducing year on year, and I believe Upendra sir would be a better person to answer this.
Yeah, of course, we have that pressure to keep on reducing the charger cost every year. And yeah, as the volumes go up and technologies become more accessible, the costs definitely come down. I mean, in last 2, 3 years, it has already gone down by maybe 25 to 30% across the board, at least.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we have, considering the shortage of time, we may not be able to take additional questions. So I hand over to Kunjan again for summarizing our webinar and moving to closure.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sunila. So, to all speakers, I had more questions, but I understand we cannot extend the time. So, unfortunately, I'm unable to ask those questions. Maybe I will share those questions over email if that is okay. And as appropriate, please feel free to reply, a short reply, I mean, as a discussion that we are having, so that we can forward those to the attendees. That would be appreciated. Thank you. So I think, yeah, I think as a quick summary, I think based on the discussions, yes, in terms of the technology, now India is moving for higher capacity chargers up to, I think, 360 and maybe 480, as said by Upendra sir. And the players are getting ready to manufacture this kind of chargers. And it is also getting deployed for heavy electric vehicles such as buses, trucks. Uh, Along with the fleet charging, highways also is getting prominent for the deployment of chargers. Some suggestions in terms of having green corridors where different vehicle segments can be utilized, and that would also enable better viability for CPOs. I think that was a welcome suggestion. Mr. Nishant from CSL, I think their experience of working closely with government in terms of access of land, which is one of the major issue in urban cities. I think that is being worked upon well, and has plans of expansion. Um, yeah, so yeah, I think some of the remaining points which we could not discuss in detail was about, but let me summarize quickly in terms of the some of the challenges from the discoms in India in terms of the timely connections and high charges in terms of the demand charges, security deposits. That also affects the viability of a charge point operator. And then I think there are instances where there is a need of interoperability or associated standards from the user's point of view, so that the vehicle and the charging station they work in sync. There are some standards that are available in terms of safety, security, which is 61581. But some of the standards like communication standards, those are optional, volunteer for the industry. And I think that could also be the need of the industry for improving the experience of EV users. So I would like to summarize with this short note and thank you all our speakers, Mr. Upendra Patel, Mr. Nishant, and Karan. Thank you so much for your time. I think over to Sunena for final thank you message.
Thank you, Kunjan. So, as we come to the end of today's webinar, I would like to say it has been very insightful and a thought-provoking session. So I thank all our participants for joining us today and for your active engagement throughout the discussion. It's encouraging to see such strong interest in the future of EV charging infrastructure. I would like to extend a sincere thank you to our panelists, Mr. Upendra Patel, Mr. Karan Nanwani, and Mr. Nishant Chaudhary, sir, for sharing their on-ground experiences and practical perspectives. Your insights into manufacturing, network operations, and large-scale program implementation truly help bringing clarity what it takes to make a charging infrastructure really scale-ready. A special thanks to Mr. Kunjan Bagriya for moderating the session so effectively and guiding the conversation with depth and balance. So today's discussion clearly showed that while EV charging technology in India is ready, scaling successfully will depend on utilization, system level planning, and sustainable business models. So we thank our panelists and participants for sharing their practical insights that reinforce the need for coordination between OEMs, CPOs, policymakers, and investors to build a reliable and a future-ready charging ecosystem. So we hope that the ideas and examples and the learnings that were shared today will help our audience to think more critically about planning, deploying, and investing in the charging infrastructure and working around it. So once again, I thank you for being a part of today's session. So let's continue to working together to build a robust, reliable, and a future-ready EV charging ecosystem in India. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Uh, I would like to add one more thing that we have some courses that are coming up. So I've dropped a message in the chat. So I would like the audience to please go and explore the short courses and programs that have been there on our website. You can also scan the QR code that is shared on the screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.